everybody. I'm here today with Dave Burnham. He is the president and CEO of CAVU International and CAVU Construction Group. Hi, Dave. Welcome to today's Business Spotlight.
Hi, Kelly. Thanks for having me here.
So let's go ahead and get right to the questions. And, you can answer these in regard to either of your businesses or both or whatever. I'm sure there's some similar things that you've had to deal with the businesses. But tell me a little bit about your businesses.
Okay, so CAVU International it's an international training company. I did 27 years in the Navy. So when I get out, I had the option to go to the airlines or find something in the commercial sector. So decided to go the entrepreneurial route and take the best practices and the things we loved about the Navy and the military and try to apply those in the commercial sector. So we set up this company to directly go after improvement in human performance competencies. We focus in three main areas, leadership fundamentals, which in the military, as you know, Kelly, they start teaching you leadership on day one. But in so many different companies that I've visited over the last dozen years or so, there's no dedicated leadership training until someone, is promoted into a management position. It could be 10, 15 years down the road. But as you and I know, every single person has the opportunity to lead, and you never know when it's going to be, but you want to have them prepared. So that's kind of the core to everything we do is leadership fundamentals. But then we also use the military training cycle, which we call the continuous improvement cycle, because like we pick a target, we'd kind of work our way back in terms of time and resources and threats or hazards, and what are our mitigation strategies, and then at the end of the mission, we're going to come back and hold ourselves accountable because we set a standard. We know what the standard is. It's very easy to know where we did better or worse. So we can quickly gain all the good things that happen and keep those. And we can identify where we fell short and fix that. So the next mission, we don't relearn the same mistake twice. That's the whole goal. And then the third thing, and I learned this in Navy Nuclear Power School with Admiral Rickover's famous statement about human error. It's not if it happens here, it's when it happens here.
Yeah. And
what are we going to put in place to make sure that those human errors are identified, trapped, and recovered from without, adversely, affecting the operation of the ship. So, so that's where the team resource management section comes from. How do you layer in levels of protection against human errors so that you can spot it when it happens, fix it, and move on. Right. So our company, CAVU International, is really set up in those three main areas: leadership fundamentals, continuous improvement, team resource management. And we work with some of the largest companies in the world. ExxonMobil is one of our biggest clients. John Deere is one of our clients. We work with BP, Chevron, all these. A lot of companies that work in high hazard environments, have a lot of folks in their workforce, very diverse workforces all around the world, different languages, all the things we dealt with in the military. So it's a very transferable skill set, and our company's dedicated to that piece of it. I like to compare it to the old fire triangle we all learned in firefighting school. If you haven't been in firefighting school, it's pretty simple. There's fuel, heat, and oxygen. You take any one of those three things away, and the fire goes out. So we have a triangle. It's called operational excellence, and it's tools and equipment, or your technology, technical skills, and then human performance competencies. Yeah, and we focus on that base of the triangle. So
I love that, and I like the leadership fundamentals piece you're talking about because you're absolutely right. In corporate America, it's an afterthought so often, but key to building a really good team at the very top is good, strong leadership. So if you're not teaching strong leadership, you're never going to have great teams, and people wonder why they can't keep people and don't have great teams in their business,
Yeah. And your newest folks really are the ones that really need a little bit of focused attention on their leadership skills.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then what about CAVU Construction Group? What's that? What are you doing there?
So actually, we're doing federal construction projects. So we bid as a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business. Okay. We've been active now going on 6 years. It's quite an exciting thing that was actually an offshoot of the CAVU International, where we were working on a large construction site in eastern Siberia with ExxonMobil, and applying those three main areas that I was telling you about.
Mhm.
And on a site that they do, a project that they repeat about every 2 or 3 years out there, or they used to, where they would move these giant land rigs and have to build the entire camp around it to basically take care of the 1,500 or so people. They'd always have significant injuries. It'd always be over budget. They'd be, overdue on schedule. And we went and applied these things to their construction project out there in Siberia, of all places, with Russian speakers mostly. And we're able to deliver it on time, under budget, and 0 injuries. So they're like, And then I had a conversation with a medium to large size construction company in Michigan, and kind of having this kind of conversation. He's like, wow, we're seeing a lot of those things here. We're repeating a lot of the same mistakes. Would you come look at this? And so as I looked at their projects up in Michigan, and I was looking around, I was the executive officer on an aircraft carrier at one point in my career. And I took an aircraft carrier through a 180-day dry dock, and it was somewhere between $1 and $2 billion budget. Just ripped the whole thing apart and then stuck it back together. And you have to do it in 180 days. If you're 1 day overdue, you get thanked for your service and sent home. You get your early retirement because you've just disrupted the entire carrier schedule around the world.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had that experience, and I saw these projects in Michigan. I was like, wow, this is exciting and neat. And I'd actually like to get involved in managing construction projects.
Yeah.
So
large project management at a pretty large scale. So those are 2 pretty large companies you got. You must be pretty busy most of the time then, huh?
Yeah, my wife says so.
Yeah, awesome. So what's the biggest issue you've had to overcome in your entrepreneurial journey?
That's a great question. COVID was massive. That was a huge problem for us. Interestingly, it affected the training company almost immediately, because we couldn't go out and train.
Yeah.
And work with our clients in the field, which was our model. And once they shut down, I think if you remember in March of 2020, they said, hey, we're shutting everything down for 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Yeah.
So I was sitting here trying to figure out what I was going to do with our 60 plus employees and keep them all all type A's, keep them motivated. And we decided to set up our own film studio. A bunch of us, former fighter pilots and Navy SEALs, went to film school and learned how to shoot and edit film, and in a YouTube type environment. And we put all of our training materials in short videos that are trying to be entertaining, like YouTube. So we created this course called Leadership Pro. And now, coming out of COVID, it's actually one of our stronger products that really dovetails in with our in-person training. So
yeah, wow, great way to leverage something there for better use. So we see that all the time with businesses that had to pivot in COVID, and they started to do something a certain way, and it worked so well that they kept it even after COVID, and it changed, added another dimension to their business in a really good way. So that's excellent. What's been your biggest learning since you've been a business owner?
Don't put all your eggs in one basket. We got started 2015 now. We predominantly got our foothold with oil and gas. So we had some pretty big clients in the oil and gas field. And, as most people have seen, the price of oil and gas is very, very cyclical.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you also remember, in like April, May timeframe of 2020, you couldn't give oil away. It was like negative $30 a barrel. So imagine what the capital expenditures of all your major clients becomes when they can't pay people to take their product. So we had to really concentrate on diversification. And I would like to, report that that's been pretty successful now. So we're greater than 50% outside of oil and gas now. We're working with, like I said, major manufacturing companies like John Deere and Elpec Polyester, a large chemical manufacturing company around the world. And we've diversified into the wind energy and renewables as well. So
okay.
that's the biggest thing I would learn is, don't put your eggs in one basket. You'll lose sleep at night for a long time if things go south.
Sure, but what have you had to learn or change that you didn't get from the military to be successful as a business owner?
Sales was like probably the hardest thing for me was, just figuring out how to sell what we do, how to explain the value statement. Without a track record, it was very difficult. You really had to get someone that just kind of believed or had a background, and they said, that's what we need. I will tell you that Leadership Pro course has really done a lot for us, because now I don't have to, rely on my words to paint a picture in the person's mind of what we do and what it looks like. I can show it to them in a video context, and they can kind of, okay, I understand what you're doing. So I think, that was the biggest thing. When you talk about these, leadership fundamentals and things like that, you can't just go out and hire a young salesperson that has a marketing degree and came out of, XYZ college and expect them to be able to go out and explain what you and I learned over 20 years in the military and why it was so important.
Right.
So I really had to train myself and my sales team, which is made up of a bunch of, senior enlisted senior officers, to be able to go out and do that in a civilian environment. So that was probably the thing we had to learn the most, and we're still learning. I'm not going to lie to you. It is probably our biggest challenge all the time, is to figure out how to better get our message out there.
Yeah, sales isn't easy. Marketing and sales two biggest challenges, I think, with most businesses. And being a career military, you're used to people saying yes, not no, right? You get into sales and you're getting way more no's than yeses. You're like, wait, no, you can't say no. So that's funny. So what's the future look like for either business, and what do you see as the main challenges moving forward?
Well, so both businesses are doing extremely well right now. Like I said, that coming out of COVID, we developed the digital course, which is helping us out, not only training our coaches, because now they have a common message and a fallback to reference. So that's good. We've also created a course, inspired by Top Gun, and basically it's train the trainer. So we take high potential individuals from our client companies, just like Top Gun would take aviators from the squadrons. We bring them in, have an immersion course either here or at remote sites around the world with our partner companies, and create human performance instructors, kind of in the same model as a strike fighter weapons and tactics instructor, which is a Top Gun graduate. So and then we have these HPIs that are our clients' employees that are now part of our culture as well, and then we communicate back and forth just like the school, and those folks are out there around the world now. So that's pretty exciting, and that's really taken off with larger companies, because hey, we love to keep having you guys here, but it's expensive, and eventually we want to learn how to fish and not just have you give us fish. So
right.
They really they like the fact that we train them and their folks, and then they become an organic asset, if you will, in their own company.
And having that reach back after you do that training, that emergent, where they're back in their business, that you have that reach to them, you probably get a lot of good lessons learned from them, a lot of challenges to help you create, change your course, modify your course, all that kind of stuff. So that's
we're back here creating new content all the time, and then we just pipe it straight to them, so they have it immediately once it's complete.
Yeah,
they got new tools, keep it fresh, things like that.
Yeah, that's great. So any challenges moving forward that you see?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I'm sure you watch the news. There's all kinds of geopolitical threats around the world, and everything's everybody's still playing brinkmanship, kind of like when I grew up in the 70s, I suppose. But so you never know what's going to happen and what kind of things are going to expand around the world that are going to create crisis in the economy, which it's going to affect all of us, obviously. And then you got the political year ramping up. You got everybody's starting to talk about COVID again, because that's the topic du jour. So any of those are all threats, I think, to our business. particularly where it's face-to-face business, even construction to some extent. You
Yeah.
can't do work from home and build a hospital.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
things like that are always keep me with it looking.
Did you going through COVID, like you said, it was major interrupter. You know, so many companies, even us, we started doing everything virtually, right? And we continue to do a lot now virtually. Are you continuing to do virtual things, or do you rather get back to the face-to-face?
We do. I mean, I would say it's probably 1/10 of our revenue is the digital stuff, the virtual. I will tell you that we have 1,000% more capacity and capability to do that. It's certainly arguable whether it's the most effective way to do training.
Yeah.
And clearly construction side we can't. So no, we will ramp that up quickly if things go that direction again. But knock on wood, let's hope it doesn't happen.
What advice would you give to anyone thinking of going into business?
Talk to guys like me. Talk to guys that have been doing it for 10 years or so. I wouldn't say much more than that because they've probably forgotten a lot of the really hard lessons they learned up front. But you get somebody that's been reasonably successful for 5 to 10 years, you can learn a ton. And I started CAVU International in 2015. I didn't start CAVU construction until 2017. But boy, when I did CAVU construction, I talked to like a dozen, I would say, guys that are in the construction business, starting out, doing federal work, doing small business set-asides for federal work. And really just the wealth of knowledge that I was able to gain there without having to make those mistakes, or at least knowing the right questions to ask was invaluable. So no, I think that's key. I would tell anybody to reach out. Guys, like I'll tell you anything you want to know. I mean, I'm not going to hide anything.
Yeah, that's great advice, because typically what is causes business failure is the lack of knowledge. They rush into the business too quickly, not having the knowledge they need to be successful. Not that they're not intelligent people, they just didn't do the work to do the knowledge to be able to reduce the risk of business, right? So getting that knowledge is critical. So that's great advice. So
I'll give you one more if you got 30 seconds. The second lesson I would tell you, and I was fortunate in both cases, it was the same woman, but I had I'm not a financial person. I'm an idea guy. I'm always, shiny objects. I look at something and want to develop it into something valuable. But having somebody that's really grounded in finance and business finance, she was a CFO for International. She's a CFO for CAVU construction, but somebody that really understands the books and cash flow and as hard as nails, but also easy to work with is critical. I would say a lot of entrepreneurs, I would say that I know, don't really understand the financial part of it.
Yeah.
Everything sounds like a great idea, and to be able to focus and really develop something, you need someone watching your back with the finances.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And well, hey, that wraps it up, Dave. Nice interview. I really appreciate talking with you. Thanks for taking time with us today.
I appreciate it, Kelly. Enjoyed it. Thank you.